you know what? That was just the beginning.
Give me the music.
Just give me the music. Give me the music.
Give me the music.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Give me the music.
Just give me the music. Give me the music. Yeah. Bring it on. Yeah, I remember back in the day, you know, when these people across the street, I think the names was the Joneses, you know, they used to play Sam and Dave all day long. And you know what? That was just the beginning. I heard so much things, I heard so much great music growing up. And at the end of the day, just give me the music.
On Saturday night, I'll be listening to Usyk versus Joshua exclusively live on TalkSport while I'm enjoying my Saturday night Chinese. Special fried rice, bosh. Special chow mein, bosh. Sweet and sour chicken balls, bosh. Sweet and sour chicken Hong Kong style, bosh. Salt and chili king prawn, bosh. Salt and chili chicken, bosh. Barbecue spare ribs, bosh. Roast pork Chinese style, bosh. Crispy aromatic duck, bosh. Chips, bosh. Prawn crackers, bosh. Curry sauce, bosh.
Oh shit, I was on mute. Yeah. I didn't turn the mic on. Sorry, got a slightly new setup down here, down at Warren Towers. I got a pay rise, innit? I got a pay rise. So let's do that again. Yeah, that Bosch one cracked me up. That one. See my man, Big John Fisher there. Did anybody hear him getting out of breath at the end there? When he got around to curry sauce. When he got around to curry sauce. You can hear him getting out of breath. You see them cheeks starting to get red. Oh dear. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and a bosh to everybody in the United Kingdom. The time is about 20 to 9 here on a Tuesday evening. And this is your show. We're going to call this show Boxing Today with your host, Ultratech. I think Riku, there's a rumour going around that Riku may be getting his own show on this channel called The Riku Report. So if you're about that Riku Report, press 1. But there's rumours going around that Riku might get his own show on this channel and that we might call it The Riku Report. News to come on that shortly. Right, it's AJ Watch time. When was the last time we did AJ Watch? We haven't done AJ Watch in a good while, have we? Right, let's do a bit of AJ Watch. Let's go with this. Fuck it.
I think you were talking about the pandemic there. Have you changed, you think, as a boxer or as a person during it?
100%. Like when I first started boxing, my whole world just flipped on its head. Like I had to really like step my game up and adapt to this new environment. And then, so imagine I'm upside down now and the whole world's moving at 100 miles an hour. So it's a bit of a whirlwind. And then with a pandemic, the whole world flipped on its head, which gave me a chance to now look up again. So I flipped on my head when I first started boxing. Then during the pandemic, where the world's flipped on its head, it's allowed me to resurface again. And I feel like in life, you always need to reset sometimes and go back to what the true meaning of what you're doing is, why you're doing it, reset with who you are, what your values are. And the pandemic's helped me do all that.
So Watford's finest resetter, formerly Watford's finest shotter, Anthony Joshua. Well, it seems like there's a bit of a mutiny going on in Anthony Joshua's WhatsApp group because what do you think about this headline here from Gareth A. Davis? Gareth A. Davis writing in the Telegraph Sport today. Anthony Joshua's next opponent shows how far he has fallen. Well. Looks like Gareth A. Davis has been kicked out of Anthony Joshua's WhatsApp group, isn't it? Looks like a few of these bottom kissers, shall we say, may have been given their marching orders. What do you think? Do you think that's a little bit hypocritical of Gareth A. Davis, given the legendary smoke blowing he's been doing up the batty of one Anthony Joshua, including this. I mean, Simon H. Gareth A. Davis sticking the boot in. Well, how's he sticking the boot in when he was telling him this?
Like that, of course, you outboxed the fucking best boxer in the world for rounds. You beat him at his own game. Your game plan was perfect. It's perfect. He nicked it just at the end. He nicked it at the end. He was flopping around. That's all it was. But that fight up until 10 was dead fucking level. You was outboxing the best boxer in the world. Your stock rose, mate. You were up, rose, like you come out of that with victory, mate. Like you, honestly, you know, if there was any doubters out there now, bro, there's fucking none now at all.
That clip never gets old. Richard, you can hear Gareth A. Davis in the background going, "You were up after 10. You were up." What was he saying? You were up after 10. The man was blowing smoke up AJ Batty, and now he can't. He talking about a different story, isn't it? He's now coming up with a different story. Anthony Joshua's next opponent shows how far he has fallen. AJ's new trainer, Derek. It's obvious what's happened, isn't it? Yeah, I believe what's happened is this. We all know Anthony Joshua's new trainer is Derek James, as was exclusively announced by friend of Derek James, Ingram Jones, on this show. Came on and announced that. Ingram knows Derek Jones, and if you go to BWTM Sports, you'll see that Ingram's done a number of one-on-one interviews with Derek James. I'm guessing that what happened is that Derek James, on condition of training Anthony Joshua, said, "Look, Anthony, I'm going to agree to train you, but before I train you, you have to hand over your mobile phone." That's what I believe happened. Press one if you agree with me, press two if you disagree. I think one of the conditions here in the contract between Anthony Joshua and Derek James is that I need to see who's in your phone. And he probably came across that WhatsApp group, innit? And he see all these names, Gareth A. Davis, and he's like, nah. Expel him, black him. And then Spencer Oliver probably got the boot. And all these guys are in AJ's, Clifton Mitchell. Clifton Mitchell. All these dudes are in the AJ WhatsApp, giving him technical advice 30 seconds before he's about to go and fight for the unified heavyweight championships of the world. You just know Derek James done cleaned out that group, innit? Cleaned out that group. So Gareth A. Davis, absolutely on the warpath. What do you guys think? Anthony Joshua's next opponent, he's saying defeat against either Franklin or McKean on April the 1st would be terminal. Can I just say something? I know DAZN are going through a hard time at the moment, We've all heard about, the losses they've been making. And like I said, they expect to start turning a profit very, very soon. So I'm not going to jump and dance on DAZN's grave too early, but they ain't really going to let Anthony Joshua go out and fight on April the 1st, are they? Have you noticed that? Anthony Joshua versus they're saying it's going to be Anthony Joshua versus Jermaine Franklin. They ain't going to let Anthony Joshua come and fight on April Fool's Day, are they? Surely that's some kind of joke. That can't be right. You can't let Anthony Joshua come out and fight on April Fool's Day, against Jermaine Franklin. Because I tell you what, if they do that, The amount of jokes and ammunition I will have on this channel will just be endless. Yeah, exactly, Richard. The jokes just write themselves. They can't be for real, man. April the 1st, Anthony Joshua versus Jermaine Dupri, a.k.a. Jermaine Franklin. Whoa, 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 whoa. I like that. I like that. What does it say? So where the money at? Shepard knows the lyrics. What are the lyrics to that song? I'm pretty sure Jermaine Dupri in the background of that video dancing around with his 4'12" self in there. But he is a multi-millionaire. Simon H says, we will have 3 AJ pay-per-views whether he wins or not. Jokin's laughing. Jokin, what are them lyrics to that song? Whoa, 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 whoa. You know what I'm talking about. Right, let's get to the poll. Guys, give me a reason, yeah? In the words of Luther Vandross, give me a reason. In fact, before I carry on, we've got 65 people in here, which is very, very good so far. Only 22 likes. New year, new memes. If you could please do yourself a favour, hit the like button. And if you'd like to be part of the chat, please subscribe. And if you don't, I'll be sending Dougie Joyce himself after you.
What? What's going to happen now? It's dead. You're dead.
There you go. There you go. So if you'd like to hit the like button, please do. Now, in the words of Luther Vandross, give me the reason. Should AJ be allowed to have an easy fight or not, in your view? I've got the poll at the minute. The poll has had a massive whopping 46 votes. So as you can see here, we've got a general election size turnout, yeah, in the chat currently. If anybody else would like to have their say, please feel free to do so. That's just my cup of tea hitting the microphone. Should Anthony Joshua take an easy fight next? This is a guy who has made his name banging on about resumes and legacies. Press 2 if you agree with me. Press 3 if you disagree. Him and Eddie Hearn have been banging on about resumes, top 10s and whatnot for the basically since I fell out the womb, innit? Since I fell out the womb. I think when I came out of the womb, Eddie Hearn was banging on about how many top 10 opponents Anthony Joshua's fighting and all this stuff. He only, he doesn't have any tune-ups like Tyson Fury. Didn't they say that? He said he never has any tune-ups. Tyson Fury's the only one who's having tune-ups. AJ doesn't have easy fights. Didn't they turn around and say that the reason why AJ didn't fight in December when he was scheduled to was because he doesn't like easy fights? Didn't they say that? I could have sworn they said that. I should have fucking looked that up on Google, innit? Me personally, I absolutely think Anthony Joshua should have a very, very easy tune-up fight. I think it's the right decision for him to have a tune-up fight before he gets in the ring with anybody serious anytime soon. So I'm very supportive of it, to be honest. I was supportive of Anthony Joshua taking a break from the sport for 6 months. I didn't think he should have been in the ring in December. And I'm supportive of him fighting somebody easy if he needs to. But I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying, this isn't about me. This is about what Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua have said in the past. And how would you guys feel, right? Eddie Hearn saying, well, the reason Anthony Joshua didn't come and fight in December like he was supposed to was because he didn't want to fight an easy opponent. And then they're going to put him in the ring with Jermaine Franklin. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Would you guys consider that an acceptable or not? Get your comments, and if you give me your comments, I will read them out right now. How would you guys feel about Jermaine Franklin as an opponent on April Fool's Day for Anthony Joshua? And we'll find out who the fool really is, innit? We'll find out who the fool really is. Anthony Joshua or Dillian White. Because if AJ goes in and smashes Franklin to pieces, which I'm expecting him to, what does that say about Dillian White in his career? Pretty much says to me that Dillian White's career at the top level of boxing's finished. That's my opinion. If Anthony Joshua goes out and does what I expect him to do and will win inside the distance very, very quickly, I'm expecting Anthony Joshua to take Jermaine Franklin out inside 5 or 6 rounds. Just think he's a different level of athlete to Dillian White, carries a different type of power to Dillian White, and he's got different type of fundamentals compared to Dillian White. You know, Anthony Joshua, for all of his flaws, is he a big robotic, Jack 2-star robot from Tekken? Yeah, he is. But my God, I mean, the footwork, his balance, his punch power, he is on a different level to Dillian White. I've always said that, and I stand by that. So I'm expecting Anthony Joshua to go in there and do a job. But what do you guys think? Let's go through some comments right now. So Anto, yeah, AJ, I want to fight the best. Well, do you consider Jermaine Franklin the best? I'm not sure about that. iBox says Jermaine Franklin beat Dillian White. I did the live of that show on this channel live. I thought Jermaine Franklin won that fight by a couple of rounds. I thought that fight was by. I thought he won that fight by a couple of rounds. To be honest, I thought Jermaine Franklin was very, very hard done by, and I think all the signs is that Dillian White was a late starter to boxing anyway. Always had a lot of technical flaws. I think when you look at Dillian White, he's probably on the balance overperformed. Actually, let me know if you agree with that. Press 7 if you agree and press 8 if you disagree. I think if you look at it, all said and done, Dillian White, kind of background he came from, kickboxer, turn boxer, etc., etc. I actually think Dillian White probably is actually overachieved in the sport of boxing. I mean, how on earth he managed to get himself in front of 95,000 people at Wembley fighting for the WBC World title? I have no fucking idea. But back in April, they were all telling me that this was a 50-50 fight. So it was what it was. Skyline, the editor, said Franklin got a bigger fight with cupcakes and diabetes. He's just not on the same level as Anthony Joshua, man. He really isn't, man. You know, when you're at top level boxing, the margins, I'd imagine the margins are pretty fine. And Dillian White's got little things like he's really telegraphs his shots. He's got terrible balance. You know, has difficulty, you know, landing a straight right hand without, you know, falling over, you know, head over his front foot. He has got all kinds of, you know, of technical flaws in him. He's tough, but Dillian White's been dining out on being tough in it for quite a long time. But I think the toughness may have been knocked out a little bit of him. But he doesn't have the fundamental boxing skills to fall back on. You look at Dillian White and you look at his footwork, and it wouldn't surprise you if you found out, yeah, this is a guy who used to do Muay Thai. Because he's, you know, I've boxed a few people who've done Muay Thai before, and he's got Muay Thai feet all over the place. So you guys agree with me? I think Dillian White's overachieved. So yeah, we'll have to see. Mark Stanton says he needs a year out away from the Hearn hype show. Listen, the pressure's going to be on. I mean, like I said before, my opinion, yeah, is that he needs, you know, let me tell you right now, he needs a couple of easy fights, in my opinion. If I was moving Anthony Joshua, he'd have a couple of easy fights, not one. He'd have several. Just make it make sense, right? He's got his 150th new trainer, right? He's got his 150th new trainer in Derek James. Lord knows how long Derek James is going to last in this camp, yeah? And imagine, hopefully, he does a better job and lasts longer than Robert Garcia. But like I said before, if you look at the people who have coached Anthony Joshua, you know, or have been in his corner, I mean, we went through it the other day, close to 10 names that have either trained him or been assistants or been in the corner. So he has had a lot of input and a lot of advice. So it's yet another new trainer. This time he's going to be moving to America and a new camp. So new country, new trainer, new camp. Look, realistically, he needs a good couple of easy fights. Skyline, the editor, says Zhang is easy. Do you guys think Zhang is easy for AJ? Who do you think's the easier fight, Zhang or Franklin? For me, I would say Franklin's the easier fight than Zhang. Zhang's a dog. The problem with AJ and Zhang is, yeah, Zhang might look to hang around a little bit longer than what he should. Do you know what I mean? All them matching personnel will be hoping that AJ gets Zhang out of there in rounds 3, 4, and 5. But Zhang's got a bit about him, you know. Zhang's got a bit of chin about him. Do you know what I mean? Zhang's got a bit of that CCP chin about him. And, you know what I mean? He might hang around a lot longer than you can think. Yeah. Harry says, Franklin can't punch. Zhang is tough and can bang. Zhang would be a decent fight simply because with Anthony Joshua, the blueprint is always, can you get yourself into the later rounds against him? Because we all know what he's like, innit? He's a big muscle. You know about Anthony Joshua himself, innit? When he had that Usyk round, he said, "Oh, I can't go 12 rounds." He can, but that's what he said, right? That's his words, not mine, right? He said, "I can't do 12 rounds." So the game plan with AJ is to stick around after 6 and see what happens. Yeah, London Chef. Zhang has heart. He does. Zhang has a chin. He has heart, and he's got a bit of stamina. iBox is saying I think Hellenius is retired from boxing. Last time I saw Robert Hellenius on TV, his eyes were rolling in the back of his head from the WBC knockout of the year, Deontay Wilder against Hellenius, and that for me was a frightening knockout. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, all right, we'll move on from Anthony Joshua. Unless anybody's got anything to say, quickly we'll move on to the next topic, which I think might be Conor Benn. But Joshua should face a bum like Schwartz, Pianetta, Hellenius, or Stiverne. Oh, you can't let AJ get them with Bermain Stiverne. Lord Jesus Christ. Bermain Stiverne, unbelievable. Anyway, all right, we'll call it a day on AJ. If you just give me a sec, yeah? Just going to take a small break here while I get up the Conor Benn news. We'll get up the Conor Benn news next. Let me just put a quick advertisement on. We'll have a quick ad break.
Who's going first? Freestyle Sunday!
I be like, who's that chilling in the range? Me and them boys, I swear down, we ain't the same. I tell them boys, really and truly, it ain't no game. Man, they think they're really about this life, but they got no aim. I'm about to squeeze, eating up the rhythms like I eat my dinner. Punchy on the mic, you know that I'm a winner. Them boys are some learners, some beginners. When I'm on the mic, you know I really go in, man, I try to. Anyway, heavyweight, like my dude. When I'm on the mic, man, they're confused. When they ain't doing what we done. If they chat shit, they must get their head spun.
Yo, who's that dipping in my beamer? Under Armour, it's not feeler. I'm a boxer, not a drug dealer. Get a massage cause I need a real healer. Chilling with the man them on a Sunday. Going cold karting, it's a fun day. Catch me cruising in the Range Rover on the runway. We're gonna go hard cause it's a Monday. I'm ready.
You know them AJ bars? Has anybody noticed them AJ bars, yeah? One bar he says, blah, 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 because it's a Sunday. And then 2 bars later he says, blah, 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 because it's a Monday. Did anybody notice that about them AJ bars? You see them bars there? Anybody catch that there? I've been waiting for someone to catch that about Anthony Joshua. 1 minute he said it was a Monday, and the next minute he said it was a Sunday. Blah, 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 because it's a Monday. 2 seconds later, blah, 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 because it's a Sunday. Someone needs to hit this guy up on Instagram and say, AJ, what day is it? When you're writing these bars, AJ, what day is it? Is it Monday or is it Sunday? Or did you start on Sunday and finish your bars on Monday? That's what must have happened, didn't it? AJ must have wrote that freestyle on Sunday. And he must have finished it on the song on Monday. That has to be it, you know. I caught that, innit? I was like, what's he talking about? Alright, speaking of what's he talking about, Jesus Christ. Are you ready, yeah, for the latest on Monsieur Conor Benn? This guy is absolutely unreal, isn't he? So, Conor Benn, yeah, did an Instagram post yesterday, yeah? And he's saying, been through hell and back. Thank God for science. The evidence doesn't lie. No holes in the truth. So, yet another cryptic statement, yeah, from Conor Benn, alluding to the fact that he's somehow proven his innocence. The thing is, yeah, right? Conor Benn doesn't have to prove anything to me. I don't really care. Like, I'll be honest with you. I already made up my own mind, yeah, on why Conor Benn, yeah, had 2 adverse findings in 2 VADA tests in a space of 2 months. I've personally already made up my mind, yeah, as to why that happened, right? Mainly because I'm not fucking, you know, I'm not stupid. That was me, yeah. Like, look, when this 270-page document comes out, I am going to hopefully give it a read, right? I'm going to try to go through as many of these 270 pages as possible. And maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe, you know, he really will silence the doubters. But I've never accused Conor Benn of anything. I've never accused Conor Benn of taking any performance-enhancing drugs knowingly. All I'm telling you is, having heard what I've heard so far, and having looked at the number of tests failed, in the number of months failed for the same substance, I feel that I know, yeah, why, exactly the reason why those circumstances occurred. But Conor seems to think different. Now, here's the interesting part, yeah? Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. We're starting to get a possible clue, and this isn't confirmed, but I would say it's more than rumour. Here's a tweet from, here we go, London Runs Boxing, okay? And Conor Benn recently retweeted a video, which I'm not going to play, and it was Mauricio Suleiman, the head of the WBC, on the Boxing Voice. And they asked him, right, if it was true that there was some kind of contamination by VADA in the VADA laboratory of Conor Benn's dope samples. And that's the reason why Conor Benn may have had adverse findings. And Mauricio Suleiman said he wasn't able to comment for legal reasons, but Conor Benn retweeted or reposted this on his Instagram, which leads people to believe that Conor Benn's defense, his upcoming 200, because the man's gone from defending his WBC ranking, yeah. Well, he actually is. He still is defending his WBC ranking, isn't he? Because the whole reason that they're sending a 270-page document to the WBC is because they want him back in the WBC. It's basically the Dillian Whyte saga all over again in reverse, isn't it? Do you remember that? When Dillian Whyte sort of momentarily lost his mandatory position, or his mandatory position was on hold, wasn't it? Because obviously he had that issue with a test, didn't he? He had that issue with a dope test, and there was a lot of pressure from you know who on the WBC to get Dillian Whyte back in the rankings. And remember, we saw exactly the same kind of shit. He's free to fight. He's free to fight. Do you remember this? He's free to fight. He's free to fight. He's not being suspended. It was the same fucking shit we heard before. It's coming up all over again. So, what do you guys think about that? I might try and do a poll on it right now. Give me your comments and give me your views on this. It's possible. I can't believe this, right? I still think they're going to go down the Panani route. That's my opinion. My personal bet is, yeah, that that 270-page document is going to say that somebody's partner was on infertility treatment. Somebody performed an act of foreplay on said partner when they were on fertility treatment, and that's how it's got into their system. I'm still gonna go with the Panani excuse. That's me. But people are seeming to think that by Conor Benn reposting this excerpt by Mauricio Suleiman on the Boxing Voice, that him and his lawyers are going to argue that VADA contaminated Conor Benn's samples. That his samples were contaminated. Richard will know. I heard something about test tubes not being washed. That's what's also been alleged. It's also been alleged that the crux of the defense is that VADA weren't washing test tubes in between taking samples from people or in between handling samples between people. So they're going to try and argue that there was some kind of negligence that happened in the lab. Is negligence the right word? Let me know. Richard, is negligence the right word or not? Let me know. But they're going to argue that there's some kind of mishap in the lab where test tubes weren't being washed in between dealing with people's samples. And that's how, yeah, Conor Benn's sample could have been found to have what it had in it. Now, I'm just saying this is what's being alleged online. I'm not confirming anything. I've never accused Conor Benn of knowingly taking performance enhancing drugs. Don't shoot the messenger, all right? If YouTube are listening, if the legal people are listening, don't shoot the messenger. You can see the tweet on the screen here from London Runs Boxing. By Ben retweeting them below, it's safe to say their argument is that there was contamination by VADA testing. Other accounts have since speculated that VADA may not have been handling samples correctly. My question would be, I'm not going to sort of jump the load quite yet, yeah? But my question would be this, and you get your questions in now and we'll go through them all. My question would be this. If they indeed accuse VADA of mishandling Conor Benn's sample, right? If VADA have been accused of mishandling Conor Benn's sample, and if it's proven, right, that, or not proven, but if the WBC or UCAD or the British Boxing Board of Control or whoever, if they accept, right, if they accept this version of events, that it's likely that Conor Benn's sample may have been contaminated because the samples weren't handled correctly in the laboratory or en route to the laboratory or whatever. Press 1 if you agree with me on this, or press 2 if you agree with me on this. Does that not open up a whole can of worms for everybody that's ever failed a VADA test? If I'm Jerome Miller, I don't give a fuck. If I'm Jerome Miller, I'm getting on the phone to my lawyers ASAP. I'm saying, what the fuck is going on here? I'm saying, what the fuck is going on here? You've just got a guy here. VADA have said it's possible that, you know, XYZ samples may have been contaminated in a lab, blah, blah, blah. Well, I failed a VADA test. Well, can we get onto that as well? Maybe my samples were mishandled. Obviously, Jerome Miller's already admitted to taking dope, so that's going to be quite difficult. But you could say something like, well, I didn't take as many substances, or they got this wrong, or they got that wrong, or I only took this, and this, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, what do you think? Press 1 if you think you... Press 1 if you think I'm onto something there, or press 2 if you... Do you know how dangerous this would be? I think potentially this would open the absolute woodwork, wouldn't it, Richard? Jesus fucking Christ, you'd have all sorts of athletes, all sorts of fighters turning around saying, yeah, I got caught with this substance as well. I got caught with this substance. Oh, guess what? Guess what? Maybe they didn't handle my sample correctly either. Maybe they didn't wash the test tubes that had my sample in it either. And then you're going to open a whole floodgate. So, whew, I mean, it is something. I mean, does anybody know, just out of interest, right? I mean this, right? I'm not taking the piss. Does anybody know why Conor Benn can't come out and tell us what the actual reasoning is? Does anybody know why he can't do that? Just out of interest, like, the 270-page document has been sent to the WBC, right? The 270-page document has been sent to the WBC. Is there any particular reason why he can't just come out and say what would be the legal ramifications of Conor Benn giving us a summary of the defence that he's already submitted to the WBC and possibly UCAD? Does that make sense? Press 1 if you agree with me, press 2 if you disagree. I'm not a legal expert, but I understand there's a case being heard by the WBC, and I understand there might be a case being heard by UCAD, right? You've submitted a defence, right? You've submitted a defence. What legal restrictions? Why is Conor Benn not able? He's able to come on Instagram and post this. He's able to come on Instagram and Twitter and post vague statements that don't mean anything to anybody, right? He's able to come on Instagram and post all this cryptic bullshit and vague statements, right? Why is he not able to come on and say, VADA contaminated my samples? Why is he not able to come out and say there might be contact? Why can't he just come out and say, guys, it's possible my samples may have been contaminated? If that's the defence that he's submitted, why can't he say that? Or if the defence he submitted is he accidentally ingested fertility drugs because his wife was on them, then why can't he come out and say that? Does that make sense? Like, I don't understand why he can come out and make all these cryptic statements that don't make sense, which, to be honest with you, I don't really care about Conor Benn if he's taking drugs or not. I believe I know what happened. That's my opinion. And you know, there are lots and lots of boxers in the sport who are, in my opinion, on performance enhancing drugs. There are lots of them, right? It ain't just Conor Benn. In fact, it pretty much, you know, I would say, if anything, it's the opposite. I would say the conversation would be about who is not currently on some form of performance enhancer, right? But anyway, I mean, it's bizarre, isn't it? Let's go through some of this stuff. What do you guys think in the comment section? I mean, I just think it's bizarre. Like, for me, if I was advising Conor Benn, if I was his PR, right, I'd be saying, look, either you shut up and don't say anything at all, or if you do say something at this moment in time, then say something of substance. Before I start reading your comments, Refactor Magic is right. We've got between 80 and 90 people in the chat right now, and only 43 likes. If somebody out there somewhere can hit the like button for me and do a favour for Uncle Ultra, please do so. Please feel free to like button. If you'd like to be part of the chat, please feel free to subscribe. I will run a poll. Do you believe Conor Benn drug test sample was contaminated? Spelling of contaminated may be dodgy, I pre-warn you. By VADA. And there you go, and there's the poll that's up right now. The poll's right there available in YouTube. I'll read your comments just a second. I'd like to see a vote on the matter. Do you believe it's possible that the reason why Conor Benn has failed multiple, or has had multiple adverse findings is because of a failure on the VADA end? Do you not find it so funny how we went from Eddie Hearn on camera? I'll find it another time, but we've all seen the video of Eddie Hearn saying that VADA is the gold standard. Do you not find it ironic if we went from VADA is the gold standard to 270 pages of document from lawyers accusing VADA of being negligent. Don't you think that would be a strange turn of events? If that happened, and we don't know that's going to be Conor Benn's defence, but if that was going to be Conor Benn's defence, that VADA have been negligent, would you not think that is one of the biggest ironies ever? Given the fact that the promoter is on record as saying they are the gold standard when it comes to testing. He's on record as saying that there are certain fights, including Joshua Buatsi versus Jean Pascal, which he didn't want to happen because there was no VADA testing. Am I right in saying that? Didn't he say that the reason why Joshua Buatsi didn't fight Jean Pascal is because there was no VADA testing? So VADA is the gold standard. Buatsi and Pascal didn't happen because VADA testing, because there was no VADA testing. When Jarrell Miller failed a VADA test, there was no problem with VADA. When Jarrell Miller failed, VADA was the gold standard. There was no problem with VADA tests. But when somebody else fails a VADA test, apparently we start having discussions about contamination. Right, let's go through your comments. Look, like I said before, we don't know what's in that document yet, but those are some pretty strong rumours coming in. Yeah, so Richard says exactly. If they did manage to basically clear Conor's name with the VADA is negligent defence, lawyers would be coming out of the woodwork for other fighters who have failed tests. Also, Juice, oh, I can't read that. Blah 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 boxing says, if they were contaminated, why did they go ahead and fail a second test? Good question. Acoustic Gymnastics says the JJ was contaminated. Those are the two main excuses I've heard so far. I don't know if it's correct. 1-2 Pivot says, I thought VADA were only a drug collection agency. Aren't the samples tested in a WADA accredited lab? Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Yeah. So look, I have no idea exactly who and how and what. I don't know if they're saying something's happened with the samples on the way to the lab. Something's happened with the samples in the lab. I don't know. I don't know. I've got to be careful. But like I said before, there's rumours of VADA and the finger being pointed at VADA as per video on the Boxing Voice. You can hear that was the question that he asked. Those are the rumours that he heard. So we'll have to wait and see. Refactor Magic says it is beyond a joke if they manage to worm their way out of this using a contaminated test tube as an excuse. Conor Benn's gonna be back in the WBC rankings whether you like it or not. Does anybody? I said from the get-go, nothing will happen here. Yeah, this will all be brushed under the carpet one way or another, and you'll be seeing Eubank and Benn in the ring within 12 months. Period. Point blank. All get brushed under the carpet. Like, nothing's going to happen. And to be honest, I've said before, like, I don't know if Conor Benn intentionally did or did not take the substances. But, look, should he be banned for life? No. In my opinion, he shouldn't be banned for life. Because if you ban him for life, let me tell you something right now. If you ban for life everybody in boxing, yeah, who was actually on performance enhancing drugs, if you had some kind of 100% accurate lie detector test, yeah, and you asked every single fighter if they've ever taken performance enhancing drugs, and you use that to determine who was in performance enhancing drugs in the sport of boxing and who wasn't. If you found out, yeah, who wasn't on performance enhancing drugs in the sport of boxing, like, your pound for pound list would have like fucking Dave Allen at number 1. Do you guys realise that? Like the pound for pound list in the sport of boxing would be like Dave Allen, Ryland Charlton, you know, Fraser Clark. Do you know what I mean? Steve USSR Robinson. These are the names that be top of the list on pound for pound, you know. That's my opinion, all right? I'm not alleging anything. That's my opinion on that. Mark Stanton says, with the lies and what looks like gagging orders, he gets sued from everyone involved in the Eubank fight. But I don't think they would, because I think that they want to... I think everybody on that side is going to keep quiet because they want to make Benn versus Eubank anyway because there's so much money in it. So I don't think anybody's going to really test the waters there. SL says, in the words of AJ, it's with some lawyers right now. Do you remember that when AJ had the contract for Tyson Fury? And he goes, of course I'm going to sign the contract. Of course I'm going to sign the contract. It's with some lawyers. And then, of course, he never signed the contract. Probably because he never got it in his hands to sign, in my opinion. Anto says you could only be bringing a lawsuit against VADA. Ahmed Ali says, and ironically, Ahmed's picture is of people in the lab. Ahmed, are you a representative of VADA? If so, I hope you've cleaned them fucking test tubes before you start taking people's samples. Ahmed says, I just don't think it's worth work it. Doesn't make sense for VADA to be so negligent. So Ahmed doesn't think it's worth it. It doesn't make sense for VADA to be so negligent. Well, 1 minute last week, a couple of weeks ago, they were the gold standard. There's rumours now that they might not be the gold standard anymore. Objective Incision says Conor's relatively sudden Conor's relatively sudden beefed up physique doesn't help the one-off theory of contaminated test tubes. Who else did VADA test around that same time, and why didn't they test positive? That's a fantastic question that I would have came to my head. Well, like I said before, we don't know this is going to be his defence, but if this was the defence, then who else tested positive for clomiphene around about that time? Or did this sort of negligence in a lab just affect his samples? We'll have to wait and see, won't we? It's interesting. Muhammad Ali says they're just throwing absurd statements around in the hope that something sticks. Let's have a look here. Blah, 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 blah. Super Sardonic says the solution is simple, Ultra. Drug test the drug testers and then drug test those who drug test the drug testers. Listen, it is what it is. I can tell you millions of pounds a year goes into developing solutions that make sure that you can take as many piss tests as you want and not test positive. So it is what it is. Anto says anyone who's done steroids knows what Clomid is used for. There's guys out there who are trying to get pregnant, right? That's what I heard from you know who promoter, innit? It's just do you guys remember? Press one if you remember this. Press two if you don't. Do you remember when this story first came out and Kala Sauerland came on the air and said that it wasn't a performance enhancing drug? Press one if you remember that. Do you guys remember that? Kala Sauerland went on TalkSport and said, first of all, it's not a performance enhancing drug. This whole thing has been a fucking shambles from top to bottom. Richard says they'll carry on putting nonsense out in the media to cast doubt on the whole thing, meanwhile serving the minimum ban the board can give out. Richard Barker says, don't you think Ben will be suspect despite any court ruling in the eyes of the public? Mate, the public are complete numpties. Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. will probably do about 10 million buys on pay-per-view. What the public say on Twitter and what they actually do in real life are two completely different things. That's why nothing will happen and all of this will get brushed over. And probably in about 6 months' time, we'll be talking about how Conor Benn is the most improved fighter in the world again. And we'll be talking about putting him in the ring with Sean Porter and freaking Errol Spence and Lord knows who what next. Let's have a look. Blah, 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 blah. Let's go through the last few comments and then I will move on to the next topic. 1-2 Pivot says it can't be the labs they're claiming contamination from. It must be from the taking of the sample. VADA only collect drug samples. They don't test them, I think. Okay, cool. Adil says if Conor gets off with the contamination argument, he's an idiot. The insane luck needed to do that should be used on the lottery or something. I'd love to know, the odds of that. What are the odds of somebody taking 2 tests in 2 months and both coming back with exactly the same sample? Both coming back with exactly the same substance. And you try and say contamination. That's why I'm not 100% sold, yeah, on the contamination story. Even though Conor Benn's actually retweeting this stuff, which leads me to believe, well, it must be because he's retweeting it. So he's almost co-signing it, but surely they're going to go with a Panani excuse. Let me go for the poll. What have you got in the poll? Right. 98, only 49 votes. Well, who gives a shit then? 97 in the chat. 53 likes. Please feel free to hit the like button. If you'd like to be part of the chat, please feel free to subscribe and be part of the chat. 98% of you do not believe that Conor Benn samples have been contaminated. We will have to wait and see about that. Just give me a sec. I think it's time to get on to the next story, I believe, which I don't actually know what the next story is. I think we might be talking about Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith. Or before that, let's talk about Tommy Fury and Jake Paul, because apparently this fight is...
And the other thing I need y'all to do.
Excuse me. This fight is 100% signed and sealed. Now, Umar, you can talk.
And the other thing I need y'all to do, when you see a hater, I want you to screenshot it and save it. I want you to put a little folder on your desktop, Dr. Umar Haters. Because when we open up the school, I'm going to have an email address. And I want you to send all the haters. They picture, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a master hater list. Because these same trolls think they're going to sneak into the school. They think they're going to apply. You got to help me keep them out.
Right. Time for the next poll. You should be able to see the story. Oopsie daisy. It looks like I've messed that up. 1 second. You should be able to see the story currently on the front page. Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury is reportedly now a done deal to take place on the February the 25th. If you just bear with me, I'm going to give you a new poll. And I think some of you are quite clever and know exactly what this poll is going to be. The poll is the following. Will Tommy Fury pull out of the Jake Paul fight? Now, listen to me. You can't pull out of a fight that's not signed. So the fight has to be signed and officially announced, right? But I'm asking you this. After the fight has been officially announced, do you think Tommy Fury will come up with an excuse and pull out of this fight? Poll is currently available in YouTube right now. Rumours are this fight will be happening in Saudi Arabia. So it won't be happening in the UK. So it'll be happening in a neutral location in Saudi Arabia. Although, to be honest, I think any location other than Jake Paul, it's going to be, any location other than England, it's going to be very, very hard for Tommy Fury to get a decision on the cards. But do you think that Tommy will pull out of this fight? I don't think Tommy Fury is scared of Jake Paul. I'm one of the few people that think that. I don't think Tommy Fury is scared of Jake Paul at all. I do think that Tommy Fury is afraid of losing and what it will do to the Fury name, etc., etc. Because I think his father and his brother put a lot of pressure on him. So I don't think he will turn up to fight Jake Paul unless he's in 100%. Okay, a fight is never in 100% condition, but I think he will need to be in as close to tip-top condition as he's ever been. And I think if he does suffer some kind of injury, then he will pull out. And fighters do get injured in camp. See, I don't think Tommy Fury's ever been scared of Jake Paul. I think what happened with the thing the last time was the following. Press 1 if you agree with me on this, and press 2 if you disagree with me. Let me say my bit first, and then press 1 if you agree with me, press 2 if you disagree with me. This is my theory on why Tommy Fury pulled out the first Jake Paul fight. For me, it's very, very simple. He's a guy who doesn't take boxing very seriously. He's a guy who doesn't train very seriously, okay? And for the Jake Paul fight, when it was on, he trained seriously for the first time in his career. I reckon that was the first time in his career where he really, really trained properly for a top fight. And you can see he was in the gym, and you can see Tyson smashing it in pieces with a medicine ball. And I just don't think that Tommy Fury's system could take it. And one of the things, again, about training, people who actually train, be surprised how many people have had these accounts that talk about boxing and stuff. They don't even train, right? When you train, right, if you don't have the proper rest, if you don't have the proper recuperation, if you do too much too soon, your body will break down. And one of the ways your body breaks down is you can get ill very quickly because your immune system goes to the toilet and you become very, very vulnerable to illnesses and infections. And I actually believe that Tommy Fury did have an infection. I don't believe those were fake x-rays that a doctor provided for him. I don't believe that was a fake doctor's report. I actually do believe that he got an infection. And I believe he got the infection because it's a very, very simple case of he's a guy who likes to go out, likes to have a drink, likes to have a bit of something else allegedly. And I think he's a guy who then went from that to training hard. He went from 0 to 60. And his body didn't take it. His body couldn't take it and his body shut down. So that's the reason I think, and I think that could happen again. You know, I think that could happen again. And I think it's, at the minute, honestly, I hate to say this, but I think there's a better than 50-50 chance that he won't show up for this fight if it does get signed. We'll see how his body holds up. But I do think there's a better than 50-50 chance he will get injured in camp, because I think he's going to go 0 to 100 in camp. He's going to train harder than he's ever trained before. Tyson Fury will be breaking his ribs with a medicine ball, and I just don't think his body is going to be able to take it. That's my opinion. But I don't think he's afraid of Jake Paul. Who do you guys think, if they both turn up, and they both turn up at 100%, tell me in the comments right now and I'll read it out. Who do you think wins that fight? If they both turn up, and they both turn up at 100%. People would accuse me of being a fanboy for this. I'm really not. I'm just someone who, likes boxing. I believe that if they both turn up at 100%, I believe Tommy Fury will win this fight by decision. If they both turn up at 100%, I believe Tommy Fury will win that fight by decision. If they both turn up at 100%. If Tommy Fury doesn't turn up at 100%, I can see Jake Paul winning the fight by KO. Do you know the funny thing about Jake Paul? I was on the Jake Paul hype train back when these hardcore boxing places didn't want to talk about YouTube boxing because it was beneath them. And I was saying, Jake Paul is the best of the YouTube boxers. I said that after he beat Ananesian Gibb, like 3-4 years ago. I was saying, Jake Paul is the best of the YouTube. Now that's changed now. Salt Pappy is by far the best of the... Salt Pappy's a boxer. He ain't even a YouTube boxer. And people who think Salt Pappy is a YouTube boxer, that kind of tells you that you don't really know anything about boxing. Because if you look at Salt Pappy and you've been in the gym, straight away, if you look at him and his skill set and the way he goes about his boxing, you know that he's been fighting for a very long time. Straight away. Like, anybody who can look at Salt Pappy and think that's just some YouTuber who's never had any experience, it's not possible. It's not possible. And Sonny Edwards was tweeting exactly the same thing a couple of months ago. You look at Salt Pappy, the way he moves, the way he feints, how relaxed he is in the ring. How relaxed he is in the ring. Bro, you think you can just fucking jump off YouTube and box like that? These people who ain't been in the gym don't understand it. It's not possible. It's not possible. And of course, what you find out he's had about 60 amateur fights in the Philippines, and he's been boxing since he's 9. And that shows in the ring. He is not a YouTube boxer. He is not a YouTube boxer. Bring him to my gym right now and feed him amateur boxers, and he beat them the same way. He ain't no YouTube boxer. He step into my amateur gym straight away and start laying people out the same way. He just has it. He's a boxer. But anyway, Jake Paul, I've been on the Jake Paul train for a while, but I actually believe Tommy Fury beats him if he turns up at 100%. I'll tell you why in a minute. Let's have a look here. Because we've got some comments. Let me just read your comments here. Right. Anto says Tommy was in a world-class camp. Tyson, Parker. He was. That's a good point, Anto. He was in a world-class camp at the time. He was. I think it was too much for him. Clyde de Vizela says Jake is an unpolished diamond compared to Tommy, who's more akin to something that I produce out of my rear end. Is Tommy really that bad? I think people are going to be surprised when they see this fight, I think people are letting their opinions of Tommy Fury maybe cloud their judgment of this fight. We'll talk about it in just a sec. I'll tell you how I think Tommy Fury wins this fight if he turns up at 100%. Richard says, going to do your first camp and breaking a rib and getting a chest infection is hardly science fiction. Well, yeah, that was his first proper camp, wasn't it? Let's have a look here. Go through some stuff in a minute. Richard says, Jake Paul has been more active. Tommy unproven at this level, as ridiculous as it sounds. Oh, I think that's a very, very good comment. I'm just going through and more, and I'll tell you what I think happens. Super Sardonic says, I think Jake does him. Ironically, more experienced against better fighters, even if they weren't pure boxers. Let's have a look here. I will go back to some of the other comments. If I jump over your comment, I will get back to it. I'm just trying to stick on topic here. Wasn't Tommy training with Shane McGuigan before his visa got declined? I wasn't aware of that, was he? Was he? I'm not sure. Mark Stanton says, I don't think Tommy's that bad, just inexperienced. Jake Paul's very, very good. Jake Paul's a legit YouTube boxer. He ain't no Salt Pappy. He's not a boxer who does YouTube, right? He's not someone who's had a lot of experience and then went and did social media and then went back to boxing. Jake Paul's an actual YouTube boxer, right? So for a YouTube boxer, I think Jake Paul's very good. But do you know what I think about Jake Paul? I think Jake Paul is a very one-dimensional fighter. I think he looks for the same shot every single... Now, when the shot lands, it's devastating. Listen, his overhand right, Jake Paul's a devastating shot. And he'll try and disguise it by jabbing to the body and things like that. He'll feint Tommy to the body, he'll jab to his body, and then he'll try and get him to drop his hands to set up for the overhand right. But if you look at Jake Paul fights, that's really what Jake Paul is about, isn't it? Jake Paul's got, even if you watch his sparring, he's got a very, very big overhand right, and he looks to set it up early and often in all of his fights. He normally sets it up, reverts to setting it up the same way, with a jab to the body, overhand right. I think Tommy Fury's got very, very quick hands for a big guy. And I think Tommy Fury's got very, very quick feet for a big guy as well. And I actually feel that, Tommy Fury puts down, just sticks to his boxing. I think a couple of feints will just mess up Jake Paul, I could end up looking like a complete muppet, but I call it now. A couple of feints against that heavy right hand, I think could give him the fix, because I think he's a one-dimensional fighter. I think we know what shot he's going to look for. Jake Paul ain't much of a jabber, Distance control isn't really all that, and he kind of reverts to going back to looking to land that big overhand right, Thought he was losing the second Tyrone Woodley fight before he landed that big overhand right. Did any of you have him losing that Tyrone Woodley fight, the second one? Am I right? Did any of you guys have him losing that second Tyrone Woodley fight until he landed that big right hand? I thought he was being outboxed, to be honest, by Tyrone Woodley before that big overhand right landed. I think that's his little get out of jail free card. It's a heavy shot. I'm not saying that if he lands it flush on Tommy Fury, Fury will be able to come back, but I think there's ways and tools for dealing with that. And I think that Tommy's got quick enough hands and quick enough feet to be able to deal with that. It'd be interesting to see if Tommy starts feinting him and using the feet, what happens. Be interesting. I'm not trying to compare Jake Paul to Deontay Wilder. I didn't want to say this because I don't want people to mischaracterize what I'm saying, right? I don't want to compare Jake Paul to Deontay Wilder, right? But I'm just using this as an example. Do you know Deontay Wilder was criticised for being very, very one-dimensional, right? Very, very right-handed. Huh? We criticised Deontay Wilder for being very, very one-dimensional, very, very right-handed, right? Not a great jabber, not very good at measuring distance, not really a very, very good defense, but he had a devastating right hand, right? And that's why I picked him to beat Tyson Fury all those times. And you know what the undoing of Deontay Wilder was in that trilogy? The undoing of Deontay Wilder in that trilogy was the feinting of Tyson Fury off the jab, completely through him. The reason why is because, and it's particularly if you watch the second fight, is the best fight to watch, which I rewatched the other day. The second fight between Fury and Wilder is a great fight to watch in that. Every time Fury kept selling him on a double feint, that's Tyson Fury's sort of trademark shock, the double feint and the jab upstairs. Every time Fury threw the double feint at him, he ate the feint, he bought it. And when he bought it, you see him step back, lean back, and he's got no feet. He took himself off balance and he couldn't land the right hand. If you watch that fight, particularly if you watch the second fight, how does Tyson Fury close him down? You see that as Tyson Fury's walking him down, he keeps throwing that double feint at him. And a double feint moves him off balance. He's bouting, he's reacting, he's leaning back off them feints, taking himself off balance, and then Tyson Fury's following him in with the jab onto the ropes, and then giving them shots. Go and watch that second fight back. Exactly how Tyson Fury does it. Throws the double feint as he's walking in, Wilder bites on the feint, leans back, feet all over the place. He's very, very unbalanced, already starts falling back. Tyson Fury follows him in with the jab, right hand comes over the top, left hooks to the body, mauls, grips him, ragdolls him around, rinse and repeat. And he did that in the second fight as well. Double feint was what undone Wilder in those fights. Took him off balance and destroyed his rhythm and destroyed his timing. Be interested to see what happens if somebody starts throwing feints in Jake Paul, because he's never ever got in the ring with a boxer. Right, final comments, and then we will move on to Chris Eubank versus Liam Smith this weekend. And we'll look at the boxer card to finish off. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. I've tried to be a little bit more structured in this show, so I hope you guys appreciate it. If you'd like to hit the like button and support the channel, feel free to do so. If you'd like to be a part of the chat, you don't have to pay me. There's no super chat. I got a pay rise at work. Can you believe this? I got a very small pay rise at work. So at this minute in time, which is 9:30 on the 17th of January 2023, I don't need to do super chat because I do this thing called go outside and get a proper job instead of trying to be a professional streamer. Richard says, would love to see Tommy do a pound shop Tyson versus Klitschko on him, get booed out of Saudi Arabia. Refractor Magic says, Tommy has no power. He couldn't even stop basic journeyman with losing records. I don't think you can read too much into that. I think Tommy Fury's going to train for this. I don't think Tommy Fury takes boxing seriously. I don't think Tommy Fury loves boxing. And I don't think Tommy Fury takes boxing seriously. That's my opinion on that. I think that what Tommy Fury takes seriously is the Jake Paul fight and the amount of money he can make out of a Jake Paul fight. I think if Tommy Fury was to beat Jake Paul, you'd probably see him retire, to be honest. What do you guys think? I think if Tommy Fury was to beat Jake Paul, he'd probably retire. Probably never see him in the ring again. He doesn't like boxing. He's not a boxer. He's not a boxer. But I just think, look, he sees it as a winnable fight. And I think he sees it as a winnable fight for a lot of money. And that's the reason why he wants to do it. No other reason other than that. That's my humble opinion. So I think Tommy Fury's in the boxing business just for the Jake Paul fight. And that's it. Dench says, Jake leans forward like Billy Joe did against Canelo. I think he will get stopped in the same fashion. We'll have to wait and see. Barry from Barnsley says, Richard says, have these YouTubers been doing 12 threes yet? Or what's the crack there? I'm not sure. I don't really watch it. I'm not sure if they've been doing 12 threes. But I tell you what, it's time now. It's time now to have a look at the boxer card that will be arriving this weekend. It's Chris Eubank versus Liam Smith. Gune is here saying hi from Turkey. So while I prepare for you the next set of slides, what better way to go through a little ad break than Turkey's finest himself? It must be none other than Mr. Mamucha. Gune, this one's for you.
You are the same shit like Anthony Joshua. A man is a man. When you say, he's out, you told everyone you want to fight me. Now you are like a duck. Take the fight. Fury, you are the same shit like Anthony Joshua. A man is a man. When you say Joshua is out, he's out. You told everyone you want to fight me. Now you are like a duck. Take the fight.
There you go. You've heard it from the man himself. Oh no, have I still got it in the background? Hold on. No, I haven't. But it's still playing in my earphones. There you go, Gune. There you go. Gune should be happy there. That's the Turkey's finest boxer there. A man is a man. Fury, you are like duck. The man himself. Right, let's have a look at this card. And this card, I have to say, look, the first boxer card in a while. This boxer card actually looks very, very good. We'll have a look at Matchroom's card in a minute because, might as well have a laugh. We'll see how many TBAs they got on the Matchroom card. Right. Gune says Char versus AJ. Yeah, I'm riding with Char all day. I don't think there's a man alive who can beat Mammal Char. I want to get that meme of Char with the tiger. If somebody has that, send that to me on Twitter. Char with the tiger. See if I can meme that one up. All right, let's have a look. So we've got this weekend, Saturday, 21st of January at the AO Arena in Manchester. It is Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Beefy Smith. Hopefully Liam Smith hasn't been on that kind of beef in the run-up to this Chris Eubank Jr. fight. What are we saying about this card? This, I have to say, it looks to be one of the better cards that I have seen, yeah? Especially for a non-pay-per-view card that I have seen in a while. Let's see what we've got here. And if you guys are thinking Ultra, look at the text of this undercard on the screen. This text is looking rather aliased, Ultra. It looks like your resolution's wrong, Ultra. No. Well, maybe to a degree, but it's more so the web development skills that have gone over there on Boxer. Is it pay-per-view? Fuck off. Oh my gosh. Live on Sky Sports Box Office. Are you fucking kidding me? Eubank versus Smith is a pay-per-view fight. Well, that changes everything. Right, well, let's change the poll then. Right, let's go to this old poll. 64% of you think that Tommy Fury will pull out of the Jake Paul fight. Now it's time for a new poll. Guess what this poll's going to be? We can hide this. Guess what this poll's going to be? Jesus, I had no idea. I thought it was a Saturday night fight. Shows you how long I've been out of the loop. Is Eubank versus Smith really a pay-per-view fight? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Pay-per-view. I was about to give this card some credit, you know. I really was. I really was. And all of a sudden now, I have to look at this card in a whole new light. Right, let's have a look. Let's go through. So let's start with the price, okay? So they're saying it's live on Sky Sports box office. So what's the price then? Why are they not showing me the price? Does anybody know what the price is? It ain't $24.99, is it? Surely they're doing a cut price deal here, innit? Surely they're giving me a buy one, get one free on this absolute bag of bollocks here. No, it's not, you lying bastards. It's not 20 quid. They're not charging me £19.95 for this. Are you taking the mickey? They're not even doing a cut price deal on it. Just come out of Christmas. Cost of living crisis. They're all Labour voters up there anyway. Listen, you guys know me. I'm Tory to the bone. For all these guys are fucking Labour voters. Cost of living crisis, giving value back to the fans. You're charging me, yeah? £19.95 for Frankie Stringer versus TBA. Charging me £19.95 for Scott Forrest versus Amin Buchetta. The man sounds like a piece of ham. Why are you charging me £19.95? The man sounds like the piece of ham I buy at the Waitrose counter. Amin Buchetta. Man sounds like he should be served up on a lovely plate of Carr's cheesy crackers with a lovely slice of brie, maybe some figs, maybe a nice bit of red currant jelly. Amin Buchetta. Matty Harris is in the ring with Jiri Sumaraj. Jiri Sumaraj. Fraser Clark versus Kevin Espindola. Who is Kevin Espindola? You guys know my knowledge of the heavyweight division is rock bottom. Joseph Parker's fighting a cruiserweight. We all know about this. I mean, Joseph Parker fucked up when he didn't Simon Queensbury, didn't he? He just should have Simon Queensbury. He'd have been straight back. He'd have been straight back, yeah, in the title mix. He'd have fought at Queensbury. Probably would have thrown out Daniel Dubois. And a Daniel Dubois fight is a winnable fight for Joseph Parker, isn't it? Probably could have thrown him at Daniel Dubois in the O2 Arena. The fuck was he thinking? Not signing with Queensbury, unless they're offering him silly money at Boxer. But who the fuck is Kevin Espindola? Look, I'm not one of these box rec warriors, so I'm not sure. Let me get a picture up. Kevin Espindola. Let me cheat. I ain't no box rec warrior, so I'll have to cheat. Apparently he's from Argentina. That's a good start. Okay. Let's have a look. Give me a sec. Give me uno momento per favore. 111 in the chat now. If you like to hit the like button, please hit the like button. If you'd like to be part of the chat, please feel free to subscribe. We're just going through this sorry excuse for a Boxer pay-per-view coming to a British TV screen near you, prime time on Saturday night. And they're telling me that British boxing is not a clown show. Speaking of which, let's get the circus going. Right, let's get the circus going. Fucking hell. Might as well, innit? It's been a while, innit? But fucking hell. Might as well. Kevin Nicholas Espindola. Let's have a look. Is he 10 and 14? Man is 10 and 14. Let's have a look. Ivan Dijk. Oh, he lost to Solomon Dakares. Okay, fair enough. So where did that happen? In the UK? Referee Sean McAvoy. So he seems to be a previous victim of British prospects. Okay, so a known quantity amongst the British promoters. It is what it is. He will be fighting Fraser Clark. The man is 10 and 14. Look, I mean, the one good thing Boxer did with Fraser Clark was when you pull out an opponent, when you pull out somebody's opponent, literally from a crowd, yeah, like they did with this dude here. Let me get the name. Where's the name? Jake Darnell. debut. Was that Jake Darnell they pulled out the crowd, yeah? It was Jake Darnell. When they literally went and pulled Jake Darnell out of the queue for tickets and shoved him into the ring with Frazier Clark. The good thing about that is pretty much every single opponent other than that, after that, is going to be a quality opponent. So, look, shout out to Boxer for their promotion of Frazier Clark. Kevin Nicholas Espindola. Right, let's have a look at the rest of this absolute horseman. £19.95. Fucking hell. Can't even blame inflation for that shite, can you? Jesus. Joseph Parker versus Jack Macy. Joseph Parker is now fighting effectively at the cruiserweight division, in my humble opinion. Goes from fighting in the biggest fight, or one of the biggest fights of his career, against Joe Joyce, packed out O2 Arena, to fighting against cruiserweight Jack Macy. The sooner he rips up that fucking boxer contract and starts fighting real opponents, the better, in my opinion. Joe, if you're listening and you want to get in touch with a real promoter, let me know. I'll give you a direct line directly to somebody with the surname ending Warren. This has to be a good fight. What do you think? Queensbury and in fact, you know, this fight is good. So for this fight, hold on. Because this fight is good, I will actually turn off the clown music, but we'll go back to it in a second. Ekau Esuman versus Chris Congo. Are we agreeing that's a very good fight? British, Commonwealth, European, WBC silver. What do you think? What do you think about that? Ekau Esuman versus Chris Congo. And then this is a very good fight as well. Look, I'm sorry, but you have to turn off the you've got to turn off the clown music for this one as well. Richard Riakporhe versus Krzysztof Glowacki. That's not clown music. That's a good fight. I mean, pay-per-view, 1995, you know, it's not too bad for an undercard. These last two fights. Esuman and Congo is a good fight. Riakporhe versus Glowacki is a very, very good fight, especially as Riakporhe is looking to move up into world class. And then, of course, we have the main event. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith. Who are you picking in that fight? I've seen quite a few people picking Liam Smith. Who are you picking in that fight? Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith. I've got some rather interesting tweets. It seems like Chris Eubank Jr. has been in the DMs of Liam Smith recently, as per the screen that you're about to see here. So it looks like these two Muppets have been DMing each other, as you can see here. Liam Smith there has been DMing him, calling him a div, and Liam Smith there saying, "Oh, I can't fucking wait, don't you worry." And Chris Eubank Jr. is telling Liam Smith, you know, look, how do you want to be cooked? Medium and well done, and all. I don't know. It is what it is. Final word from Liam Smith. Chris, if that's what you think, you're way off, mate. But let's just wait and see. We're here now. Not too long to go. Blah, blah, blah. You're hoping you can get in my head. You couldn't get in my head. You're not clever enough. You're a game-hungry tit. Like I've told you before, I can't fucking wait. Trust me. Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. You can see there these two are DMing each other a fucking week out from the fight, telling each other what they're going to do, blah, blah, blah. If you would like to watch that, you can watch that for a cool £19.95. Tell me, who is going to win? Mark Stanton says, Eubank on points, but wouldn't be surprised if we have beefy up. John Smith says, Smith has no chance. Eubank by decapitation. People talking up Smith are the Sky Hype train, trying to justify this as a 50-50 fight. Crazy D3 is saying Chris Eubank on points. And I've got another one for Chris Eubanks here. Let's have a look here. Blah, 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 blah. Dench says, can we get a body language expert before I make my final conclusion? Press 1 if you're aware of this, and press 2 if you're unaware of this. It has come to my attention that a body language expert has looked at footage of Conor Benn's body language and has said that Conor Benn is innocent and has not knowingly taken performance-enhancing drugs based off looking at his body language. They're not even looking at his samples. They're not even looking at the amount of said substance in his system. They're not even looking at the fact that he's failed multiple tests, right? But I am told there is a video online, and the video online has declared that by looking at Conor Benn's body language, we can tell that he's taking. What makes this even worse? What makes this even worse is I believe that this video may have been done before we found out that Conor Benn actually failed more than one test, or he had more than one adverse finding. Please, lawyers, don't come after me, all right, about the difference between a failed test and an adverse finding, all right? But apparently, I believe this video may have been done before it came out that Conor Benn had actually failed or actually had 2 adverse findings in the space of a couple of months. But apparently, yes, there are people out there who say if you look at Conor Benn's body language, it's obvious that he did not knowingly take performance-enhancing drugs. I will leave that to you. Whether you believe that or not, whether you I don't mind what people believe. I'm not accusing Conor Benn of anything. If you honestly think he's innocent, more power to you, honestly. If you think it was chicken eggs, more power to you. If you think it was doped up punani, listen, go outside, have a mug, have a Horlicks, and get yourself a Kit Kat. I couldn't care less. Believe what you want to believe. I'm not here to convince you of anything. All I do is come on here and give you the latest news that's available on the internet. Let's have a look at the UK, the supposedly #1 promoter in the UK. That's what they're still telling me. Apparently, this is by far the world's #1 boxing promotion. The big leagues. Welcome to Matchroom Boxing. Let's just have a quick look and see what they've got going on. I'm not going to comment on this card here, because if I comment on this card here, I will get myself into a lot of trouble. So I try and stay away these days from all topics re female boxing, and I'm especially staying away from the topic of Sky Nicholson. That topic I'm definitely staying away from. So look, what I will say is this. Whenever I criticise Eddie Hearn, yeah, I don't know if you guys realise, I always, for the most part, criticise him on boxing related topics. I'm not going to start dragging the man's personal life in. For me, it's never been personal with Eddie Hearn. I just think he talks a lot of rubbish, but I'm not going to start attacking the man's family or attacking the man's wife or bringing up personal situations. I've never attacked Barry Hearn. I've never accused Barry Hearn of being some of the things that other people have accused him of. You know, despite being labelled as a Matchroom hater, you know, all I do is try and point out inconsistencies in some of the things that Hearn says. I'm not going to drag up his personal life as an excuse to beat him over the head. And so as of such, Sky Nicholson will no longer be mentioned on this channel, to be honest. In fact, to be honest, I think it's probably better if we don't talk about that kind of boxing as a whole, because if I give you my real opinions on the levels of boxing, on the levels of some of the opponents that are fighting for world titles, I will get cancelled. You know, because I think some of these opponents who are getting these world title shots, you got to understand one thing about me, right? I do talk to people who box, professional boxers who you would know the names of. Nobody's super famous, but on the trainer side, that's a different story. We do get some quite well-known trainers popping into the DMs every now and again. Fighters, not really. You get a couple of fighters here and there. Some of the stories I hear, all right, regarding... Some of the stories I hear about some of these opponents who end up on certain cards fighting certain fighters, you'd be surprised. Let's put it this way. There have been a lot of question marks about the standard of these opponents. That's coming from people who have sparred these people. People who've been in the ring and sparred with some of these individuals who are world ranked. And they've cast doubt over how the hell are these individuals getting on these cards. Anyway, let's have a look at Matchroom. What have we got from the world's best promoter? Right, it's currently the 17th of January. We are currently 1 month out until it's Lee Wood versus Mauricio Lara on the 18th of February. And we already have a card half full of TBAs. But to be fair, It's only January. So we're hoping now. Matchroom have got 4 weeks now to fill out the TBA. So Nico Levars versus TBA. They got 4 weeks to find him an opponent. Kieran Conway. They got 4 weeks to find him an opponent. He'll be in the ring with TBA as well on the 18th of February. Gamalia 5 versus Diego Alberto Lopez, but not before Junaid Bostan takes on TBA. We've got Gary Cuddy versus Wilfredo Flores. We've got Chevron Clark versus Deck Spellman, former victim of Anthony Yard. We've got Dalton Smith. I'm not going to say anything actually about Dalton Smith because he hasn't harmed anybody. But Dalton Smith takes on Billy Allington. I don't know who Billy Allington is actually. Does anybody know or have heard of Billy Allington? And what kind of opponent is he? If so, let me know. And then, of course, you've got the main event for the WBA World Featherweight title. This is a good fight, and it's definitely a fight worth tuning into. Lee Wood versus Mauricio Josh Warrington Conqueror Lara. One thing's for certain, Mauricio Lara should be able to get through the first couple of rounds without being headbutted in this fight. Crazy D3 says Sky Nicholson will never get screwed on the cards. Well, not on the cards anyway. Let's get off this screen because I'm gonna get myself in trouble. Do you know what? Can I ask you something? Well, mind you, it's only February, but didn't Matchroom say that they were going to be releasing their a big schedule? Press 1 if I'm right on that. Press 2 if I'm wrong. Am I not right? I don't really listen to what they say anymore, but didn't they say they were going to have a big schedule? They said that they had the whole year's schedules. They had something laid out, didn't they? They had weeks and weeks and weeks, yeah, of a schedule laid out. So far, I can see 2 cards here. So I'm looking forward to seeing more from Matchroom. But I could have sworn they said they had a whole... Maybe I misheard. Thought they had a whole sort of schedule lined up. There's a lot of things we can't talk about in it on this channel at the minute. We can't talk about Sky Nicholson. Can't really talk much about Eddie Hearn. Can't really talk too much about Conor Benn. Can't really talk too much about... There's something else we can't talk too much about, but it is what it is. You guys are still talking about the body language for Conor Benn. Objective incision, body language, lol. Conor Benn's public sparring session was less than 5 minutes, while Eubank's was 30 minutes. And Conor lied when he said he spoke to Eubank Jr. on the phone. Disoriented behaviour. Ian T says, did the body language expert write the 200-page report that Conor's submitting to the WBC as evidence? You guys keep telling me that British boxing isn't a joke. That's the thing. You guys keep telling me it's not a joke. I just report the news. That's all I do. I think British boxing speaks for itself. Just doing some final news. Anthony Yard will be getting absolutely poleaxed by a very, very angry Artur Beterbiev in a couple of weeks' time. Probably talk more about that. Hopefully, if we still have a YouTube channel closer to that date. I'm expecting an absolute bloodbath in that fight. I think I have to be honest and say it is one of the biggest mismatches for a world title I've seen in a very, very long time. All the credit in the world to Anthony Yard. All the credit in the world to Tunde Ajayi to a certain degree. Although I think Tunde, as his manager, probably should have turned it down. But it is what it is. But this could be a career-defining beating that Anthony Yard's going to get against a very, very angry and wound up Artur Beterbiev. Unless by some miracle, this is the second coming of Ricky Hatton and Costa Zoo. Unless by some miracle Frank Warren's got his timing right, and this somehow is the second coming of Ricky Hatton and Costa Zoo, where a pound-for-pound fighter turns up in the UK and ages overnight before our very eyes. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Anthony Yard's going to get taken out in this fight, and I think Anthony Yard's going to get taken out before the middle rounds. And I love Anthony Yard, and I pray that Anthony Yard wins this fight. I'll be rooting for Anthony Yard all the way, and for Tunde Ajayi to win. I'll be rooting for these guys to win, yeah? I'll be happy if they win. But I have to call it how I see it. Just because it's a Queensberry Promotions fight, I'm not going to come on here and tell you it's a 50-50 fight and it's a good matchup. It's bad matchmaking. Quite frankly, it's fucking dangerous matchmaking. And Anthony Yard is going to get... unfortunately, he is going to get fucking worked. Super Sardonic says, Yard is lucky Beterbiev is 38, so he'll still have a few bones left intact. I mean, listen, I don't know if I could get done for copyright. I mean, I feel like getting some of these Mortal Kombat fatalities up on the screen. Do you know what I mean? Some of these Mortal Kombat fatalities. Because that's what it's going to look like, innit? Look. Jesus Christ. Hold on. We get some of these Mortal Kombat fatalities up on the screen. On who? Jax. They ain't got that many POCs in Mortal Kombat, do they? They ain't got that many POCs in Mortal Kombat. But mark my words. That's how I think Anthony Yard's going to get done. And I don't want him to, but I have to be honest and call it. He's going to get, you know. What's that fatality? The one where Katana eats you up and then spits your bones out. Is that the one? Who remembers that one from Mortal Kombat 2? Is it Katana? Is it Katana or is it Melina? Who knows about that? I think it's Melina, isn't it? Melina. Isn't it Melina? Because she's like half, yeah. She's like half Baraka. She's like half Tarkatarian or whatever. She eats you up and then spits your bones out. That's what will be happening to Anthony Yard, yeah? And on a BT Sports card near you. Because, you know, like I said before, he shouldn't even be in the same fucking city as Beterbiev. Let alone the same ring. Crazy D3 said, didn't a fighter said that sparring Beterbiev was worse than experiencing a car crash? Richard says, just hope there's enough of Yard left at the end to be able to stick him back together again. What are they going to do? Stick him back together again and shove him in a ring with fucking Craig Richards or Buatsi on a card near you? No doubt. Guys, it is what it is. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. Try to be a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more structured. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. And I believe I've asked Ingram, check my email, if he'd like to come on and do the post-fight for Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Beefy Smith live, which will be coming hopefully to you on this channel very, very shortly. YouTube permitting. Take care of yourselves and each other.